8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Mario Vijayawardena. The headlines. The central bank says no restrictions on the use of credit cards, debit cards and other stored value cards. A special vaccination week for unvaccinated people above 60 years of age from tomorrow. The Association of Medical Specialists requests to be on alert for dengue. The Indian High Commission pledges more oxygen consignments to Sri Lanka. The island-wide LP gas shortage returns to normalcy within the next few days. In sports news, FIFA requests the emergency evacuation of female players from Afghanistan. In world news, women and girls in Afghanistan are facing a deeply uncertain and scary future with the Taliban regime. The central bank says it has not introduced any new restrictions on the use of credit cards, debit cards and other stored value cards and holders of such cards to make payments to persons resident outside Sri Lanka. It has been brought to the attention of the central bank that messages are being circulated stating that credit card, debit card and other stored value card holders are restricted from making certain payments in foreign exchange. The public is informed that the central bank has not introduced any new restrictions with regard to electronic dealings. The central bank also says, however, it is observed that some banks have introduced certain limits on the use of these cards for transactions in foreign exchange. Accordingly, the central bank requests the public to contact the respective banks if they encounter any difficulty in making legitimate card payments while using foreign exchange sparingly at present. The government has declared the week from tomorrow as a special vaccination week for unvaccinated people above 60 years of age. State Minister Channa Jayasumana said a fair number of total population above 60 plus has not received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. He says these elderly people have foregone the vaccine owing to personal reasons and several misconceptions. He added, this is the very reason as to the hike in the number of deaths recently. The state minister stressed that the coming week will be dedicated mainly to vaccinate the 60-plus age group in the country. He also requests people who look after the elderly to encourage them to get vaccinated in the coming week without further delay. Meanwhile, he said the decision to extend the quarantine curfew would depend on how the people behave during the lockdown period. The president of the Association of Medical Specialists, consultant pediatrician Dr. Lakkumar Fernando says that even if a person gets COVID-19 without symptoms and is also infected by dengue, the dengue could lead to dengue hemorrhagic fever. Dr. Fernando has recently been appointed by the WHO to the Technical Advisory Group for Dengue and other arbovirus diseases in the Southeast Asia region. Dr. Fernando added, COVID-19 generally hits you like a mild disease if a patient is young and healthy. However, if a patient is elderly or has comorbidities, COVID-19 hits you badly, causing severe disease and even death. He stresses that both young and old can be severely affected by dengue, and dengue can cause havoc for healthy and well-nourished people too. COVID is largely asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic in children, though there may be slightly more severity with the Delta variant. Dengue causes severe disease in children and could become more deadly than COVID-19. He instructs the public to get a full blood count, FBC, a C-reactive protein CRP test, and a dengue antigen test done between 20 to 30 hours if a fever lasts for more than 24 hours. The naval vessel Shakti arrived at the Colombo port carrying 100 tons of oxygen from India today. The Indian High Commission in Colombo said that more oxygen consignments will reach Sri Lanka shortly. The Indian vessel Shakti has set sail from the Visakhapatnam port carrying 100 tons of liquid medical oxygen. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan Navy vessel Shakti, which departed from the Chennai port carrying 40 tons, will also arrive in the country tomorrow. State Minister Lasantha Alagiyavanna says the island-wide domestic LP gas cylinders distribution will return to normalcy within the next few days. He says major gas suppliers are taking every possible step to expedite the distribution process. Following the State Minister's observation visit to the filling terminals of the Litro and Laughs gas companies, he also expressed his regret over the inconvenience caused to the consumers in the last few days over the issue. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
A giant interest rate for your fixed deposit that you deposit this month. Call 0718 800 999.
More than 91% of the people who died of the coronavirus infection in the country have not received any COVID vaccine. The epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health says that it is revealed that out of 5,775 corona deaths in the country up to August 13th, 5,295 have not been vaccinated, even with a single dose. According to a survey conducted by the ministry, although a number of people had died from the infection after receiving both doses of the COVID-19 vaccine, it was a very small percentage. It has been confirmed that 7.2% of 417 deaths are of the people who had received only the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Health officials point out that it is about 1% who had both doses of the vaccine that have died from the infection. Meanwhile, Dr. Chandima Jeevandara, the director of the Institute of Allergy, Immunology and Cell Biology of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, said that those who were vaccinated were about 65% less likely to spread the coronavirus than those who were not vaccinated. A Gazette notification was issued for the adoption of safety measures for tamed elephants. The Wildlife Protection State Minister Vimla Dissanayake says the Gazette notification was issued to protect the well-being of tamed elephants. Under the notification, provisions are stated for the registration of tamed elephants, obtaining tamed elephants for historical cultural processions, standards and specifications of traditional tools used. Our correspondent said the Gazette notification also included with the application form for the registration of a tamed elephant, the application form for the registration of an unregistered elephant that is currently with the owner, the license form for the registration and detaining of tame elephants. A new program has been implemented in the Western Province to direct COVID-19 patients for home-based treatment from tomorrow. The National Operations Centre for the Prevention of the COVID-19 Outbreak said the new process is implemented with effect from tomorrow. Accordingly, those who tested positive for the novel coronavirus in the Western Province and are undergoing home-based care are urged to send a text message to the hotline 1904 informing their current health status. The Health Ministry says patients between 2 to 65 years of age are eligible to home-based treatment procedures. It added, the patients should be provided with an isolated room with good ventilation with separate sanitary facilities. However, patients with chronic disorders should refer the medical health officer of the area. The Health Ministry added. The Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, S.R. Artigala, has instructed the district secretaries to gather the necessary information to provide an allowance of 2,000 rupees to those who have lost their livelihoods due to the imposition of the quarantine curfew. According to the official, an allowance of 2,000 rupees is planned to be paid to the persons concerned from next week. Trade union member and retired Ceylon Petroleum Corporation employee Ananda Palitha has been arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department. He was taken into custody for questioning over a recent controversial statement he made on the fuel stocks in the country. The trade union member has claimed that the fuel stocks in the country is sufficient only for 11 days and that there will be a fuel shortage. Both the Minister of Energy Udaya Gamanpila and the Chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation Sumit Vijayasinghe denied the trade union member's claim and assured that there is sufficient fuel for over a month. He was produced before the Colombo magistrate and released on bail. That's local news.
Now, get your EPF loan information and service details via SMS from HDFC Bank. Wherever you are, being a state and private sector employee, to obtain EPF loan information and service details, just send a SMS mentioning EPF space, name and region to 0718 800 999. HDFC Bank, the bank for your home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
The central bank says it has not introduced any new restrictions on the use of credit cards, debit cards and other stored value cards and holders of such cards to make payments to persons resident outside Sri Lanka. It has been brought to the attention of the central bank that messages are being circulated stating that credit card, debit card and other stored value card holders are restricted from making certain payments in foreign exchange. The public is informed that the central bank has not introduced any new restrictions with regard to the electronic dealings. The central bank also says, however, it is observed that some banks have introduced certain limits on the use of these cards for transactions in foreign exchange. Accordingly, the central bank requests the public to contact the respective banks if they encounter any difficulty in making legitimate card payments while using foreign exchange sparingly at present.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
And now in Watchlight, the SLBC warns that there is a large number of fake information about the COVID-19 treatments that are now spreading on social media. The social media pages repeatedly spread misinformation about COVID-19 and its precautionary procedures. Many social media platforms, including Facebook and Instagram, globally spread COVID-19 precaution procedures, saying that they are based on indigenous medical practices. It has also been reported that WhatsApp and Instagram also spread misinformation about the COVID-19 vaccine. For instance, some reports have also claimed that the COVID-19 shots cause magnetism and taking vaccines therefore can lead to impotency. The SLBC requests the public to fact-check and consult qualified medical practitioners if interested in the proceeding, as we have noticed many such instructions are false, partly false, altered, missing in context or fully fabricated. That came to you in Watchlight. And now in world news headlines, women and girls in Afghanistan are facing a deeply uncertain and scary future with the Taliban regime. Facebook says it has taken a series of new tools and safety features for users in Afghanistan. China has revised its laws to allow couples to have up to 3 children. Women and girls in Afghanistan are facing a deeply uncertain and scary future with the Taliban in control. Afghan women fear that their rights will be constrained as when the Taliban last fully ruled Afghanistan. The women who spoke to foreign media expressed shock, fear, frustration and defiance at the rapidly changing environment in their country. Afghan women told the media that they want to make clear that Afghan women participating in society as entrepreneurs, athletes, politicians, the police, academics, artists and journalists, among other professions, had to fight for those freedoms within a strict male-dominated society. Meanwhile, the Taliban officials have said that women's rights would be respected under Islamic rule, a statement that the US government advocates views with skepticism. Facebook says it has taken a series of new tools and safety features for users in Afghanistan. It added the company will enable users in Afghanistan to rapidly lock down their accounts with a single click. The measures had been taken with the rapid Taliban takeover in Afghanistan. Many people in the nation are now scrambling to wipe content from their social media profiles that may endanger their lives. Afghans have reported instances of the Taliban stopping them to search their devices, including social media, for this kind of content. Meanwhile, human rights organization workers criticized social media companies recently, saying that these businesses are failing to help users in Afghanistan quickly and adequately. China has formally revised its laws to allow couples to have up to 3 children to boost the birth rate. The regulation was one of several passed on at a meeting of the country's top lawmakers, the National People's Congress (NPC). China had announced back in May that it would allow couples to have up to 3 children in a major policy shift. Xinhua news agency said the decision has now been formally passed into law, along with several resolutions aimed at boosting the birth rate and reducing the burden of raising a child. And now the main points of the World News segment once again. Women and girls in Afghanistan are facing a deeply uncertain and scary future with the Taliban regime. Facebook says it has taken a series of new tools and safety features for users in Afghanistan. China has revised its laws to allow couples to have up to 3 children. That was World News.
Development News is brought to you by Quality Matters Than Price. So as an engineer,